Okay,
Yeah.
hello everyone. We'll be starting with the session now. So let me just quickly introduce our guest today. So we have with us our alumnus, Hardik Khandelwal sir. He's currently working at Google as a software engineer, and today he'll be talking about a question which is some of you might consider to be a little cliche, but I feel it's pretty important. It's a jack of all trades or a master of none, or as he put it in his words, a generalist mindset towards problem solving. So, without further ado, let me just hand over the session to Hardik, sir.
Yeah. So thanks, Harsh. Thanks, Akshay. So yeah, I just wanted this session to be pretty interactive, right? So please feel free to post your questions in the comment section. I can see it. So these guys have organized it in a very nice way. So kudos to that. I mean, um, great, organization. And first of all, am I audible? I just want to know
Yes, sir,
that.
you're audible. Yeah.
Awesome, guys. So, first of all, before starting with the every session and everything, right? Like, how is everything going on? क्या colleges खुल रहे हैं? Are you? These guys told me you're gonna have offline exams. Good luck for that. So, and apart from it, uh, setting some context about this session. So this session talks about my experience throughout the college life, the questions that I had, and now if I look back towards them, so the things that I could have done differently, or the mistakes I have made, because I think you should make mistakes, but you should not repeat mistakes. So this is all the session is about, and feel free to ask questions anytime you like. I would be happy to answer them at the moment or maybe by the end, but I would try not to miss any question. And I think we can start. Though Harsh introduced me, but yeah, I created a slide, so I'm going to introduce myself again. So yeah, hey everyone, I am Hardik Khandelwal. I'm currently working as a software developer at Google. Earlier, I used to work with Amazon. I worked at Amazon for around 1.5 years. I am from IPG 2015 batch, so I graduated in 2020. So I will roughly complete around 2 years of work experience in corporate in June this year. So yeah, that's what my experience is so far. But hopefully, my experience gonna help you guys. So just talking more about this session, right? So if I flashback back to 2015, and I see when I entered college the questions I had. So my first question to my seniors was कि सर प्लेसमेंट कैसे होगा, सर वेब भी करूँ, एंड्रॉइड करूँ, कोडिंग करूँ, तब तो डेटा साइंस आई भी नहीं थी, या बाकी लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, अच्छा फर्स्ट ईयर में क्या करना चाहिए कि मेरी जॉब लग जाए. I mean, I started college, but I was looking in those directions. And apart from it, it was more of a nightmare because कुछ समझ ही नहीं आता था. बस ये होता था कि oh, this guy is doing this, let's do this. Oh, this guy is doing that, let's do that. And from there I started, and then down the line, realized some things. And maybe I can talk about my college journey, that what I did. So the first day I asked some of my seniors, and I asked them कि first year में क्या करना चाहिए. Right. So my first year was in July 2015, and they were like, "अरे first year तो chill करने के लिए होता है. You don't need to do anything. All you do is chill, enjoy, and explore." They never told me what do you mean by exploration. Right. Everybody in our college or everywhere says that as a fresher you should explore, and then you should pick up a field and specialize in that field. But how to explore? What people I've seen people doing is they pick up certain thing and they explore it, and they become specialized in that. But at the end of the day, they become very dormant. They become very cohesive. They don't want to change. They are not flexible. And it more or less, I'm not saying it's bad, but sometimes it makes them miss opportunities that they could have gained, and they learn it the hard way. So, talking about my journey, I spent my entire first year in fest events, chilling. Typically, I wasted it. I still think I could have done something better, but it's fine. Like, it was good for my personality development, but then again, I should have managed my time better. And you wouldn't believe it, I wrote my first Hello World program after 1 year almost in April 2016. So this is how I started my journey. And then again I asked people that, oh, now what to do? And everybody was doing competitive coding. I was like, oh, you're doing competitive coding. I'm gonna start with that. So I started doing CodeChef. bare minimum, right? I used to do 4 questions. Pehla wala was ad hoc, dusra wala was ad hoc, third one was priority queue, I guess, and fourth one was also priority queue. Loops are very similar, nothing major. And I got what, 3 star, 4 star on course. I was like, "Arey coding aati hai na, no, alag kar rahe ho aap kuch." And then I started reading DS Algo books, and I started mugging them. Arey, if I would know that, it would work around. But I actually didn't fundamentally ask me the question that why am I doing this? How is it helping me? Is it aligning towards a certain goal, or is it just the herd instinct that I am going deeper, 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 but not getting any results? Then I took a tutorial on Android, and I was like, "Arey, ab to Android aati hai." And I'm a master of. And I was like, I never want to do it again. I never liked front end. Then I did a course on Node, and the second year ended. And I was like, "Oh, what happened?" Like, I had nothing. My batchmates were doing internships back then, and I was like, "Oh, it's like a nightmare started now." Like, if I saw the end of my second year, I started, just thinking about it, that what I did wrong. Because at the end of second year, I had nothing that I could display. My knowledge base was bare minimum. And the first thing that I realized was, I wasn't asking the right questions. What I was asking people at the end of my second year was, how you did things, or what do you do, or things like, oh, he did coding, so I'm going to do coding. So now the third year begins, and I think third year was the most transformative year for me. And one thing that I went with the third year, the intention was stop listening to other people, and I start, asking the right questions. So first thing that I did was I wanted to understand how people work, because tutorials just simply tell you about how things are done, but how to deliver product is something we'll learn in internship. So I asked one of my senior, right? He's a very close friend of mine till date. I asked him, "Sir, you know what? I just know Node bare minimum. I just want to work." And he was like, "Okay, yeah, I have an internship. You just go there." And I was the sole developer there. It was in virtualist world, and it was one of the most transformative thing I did, because you're working with like IoT based devices, and everything was a great learning experience. So I think I gained good insights on Node. Then in parallel, I got one more opportunity, speech markers. So they were looking for a developer, right? And I told them, "See, I don't know anything, but I'm curious to learn." And the work was majorly in AWS. Again, sole developer there. And I was doing these two internships in parallel, because, of course, I was desperate to do things. I hadn't done anything. And I think these two internships have been one of the most life changing things I ever did, because they changed the way I used to think in college. Right. Like, I came from a background till second year that you need to do just one thing, and that is either code or either do development. Now, when I started working with these companies, right, I realized that at the end of the day, you need to get the job done. You need to study what needs to be done. You need to learn things that you have never done before, but you need to deliver. And with that mindset, I spent the other 3 years of my life. Then I think I started with lead code, because my target in coding was not ICPC, or have a red be a red coder on code forces. Like, these were the evaluation metrics I used to judge the competitive coders on. My target was a company oriented approach, because I just wanted to clear the interview so I could make an impact at those companies. So I started doing lead code, because lead code was the nearest thing I could do, and like, this was one of the best decision I made when it comes to coding. So it was both development, coding together. Then I working, in internship, I realized how beautiful tech field is, solving problems, dealing with ambiguity. And I was like, let's expand the horizon again. And I started doing data science. I think I spent around 8 to 9 months in data science, reading research papers, doing research projects, even doing an internship project on data science. We'll come to that in some of the stories that I might tell. And then started fourth year, which, made me learn a lesson the hard way, and that is, it is necessary to deal with panic. And fourth year was a panic monkey. I was like, oh, fourth year is the time where you present your BTech project, you find an internship, you find, you start doing other things. So in the summer of fourth year, I was doing an internship with Zakura. Um, it was a company which built their own currency on blockchain. So I was handling the back end of it as well as some front end work. Then I had my BTP, I did lead code, and I studied for Gate because other people were studying, and I was like in a panic mode, and I did that. So I don't think studying for Gate was good for me because I already had a good pointer. But then again, it was worth it, but not that good. And I spent time in interview preparation by the end of fourth year. So that was necessary and the need for us. And I think fifth year was something, so I already got a job. I gave a couple of other interviews, but I finally took the job in Amazon only. And I spent my fifth year, working on my mindset that, how I see things. What are the things that I have done wrong? How could I, work on my personality? How could I help the community as well, our college community or the juniors or even people who I haven't interacted with. So my fifth year was went in all these things. And then again, I think Amazon, my work was majorly on Scala, Spark, AWS, Java, React, and internal systems, nothing new for me. Then I made a transition to Google, and I'm currently working on things I have never worked before, basically on smart wearables, that is Wear OS, and Google One P applications. So, this is a summary of my journey. And throughout this journey, to be quite honest, I struggled from questions related to existential crisis, that what am I actually doing in my life? Am I going somewhere? Is it something worth it to step into? Am I doing the right projects? Am I doing the right internships? Am I working on my pointer? And every other thing. And if I look back at it, and then the other question came to my mind. I was like, I was so great in school. What is happening now? I've had so much clarity throughout the school, and now I feel I'm lost. So break on it. Like, do you guys relate to these things, or am I just blabbering about it? Some response in the comments would be helpful. Um, Anyone? Okay. So, assuming that you guys also relate to these things, I think I can go ahead. And I started thinking more about it, that what's the difference that relatable. Oh, thanks, Guna. Awesome. So, if I started thinking about what had actually changed when we entered college, and that was the most critical thing. We entered a different learning environment when we entered our college. So when we are in school, we are in a very kind learning environment. Everything is laid down for us. There are books which you read. You understand the questions. You have a fixed goal that answer the questions, get good marks. Marks are your evaluation metrics. You have clarity that if I study this, I will get good marks, and other things. And the thing is, you have very limited focus area, and those are your studies. That is what's gonna lead you to success, and everybody wants success, but nobody defines what success is. But when we entered college, the learning environment was so wicked because there was no clear path, oceans of opportunities. You could do this, you could do that. You don't know what you want to do. There is no fixed goal. Somebody says they want package, but to reach that package you have a fixed goal. Even if you start earning, you're like, I'm not enjoying my job and whatnot. And the evaluation metrics is very ambiguous. Some people related to money, other people related to power, some people related to managerial skills, some people related to other things. So entering a wicked learning environment with a mindset of kind learning environment is going to add a lot of stress to your life. And now you enter that environment making other people your role model who are themselves struggling in their life. How are you gonna combat the stress that comes during that time? How are you gonna learn other things? And then people say they want to do development, people say they want to do competitive coding, but how do you evaluate you're doing good development? How do you evaluate you're doing good competitive coding? How do you evaluate you're doing good code data science? Right? There is no goal, no evaluation metrics, and how are you going to handle it? And well, I like data structure algorithms, so it is a search problem actually, right? And more than that, we all want to create big impact in our lives, but we don't have patience. And college is a 4 to 5 year journey, and you need to steer through it with patience, because the more perseverance you show, the more skills you gain, the more opportunities you utilize. At the end of the day, the opportunities are going to increase, the impact is going to increase, and that's it. Like, you need to persevere till the very end if you really want to have good impact. So talking about how a generalist may see things, right? So I'm a very generalist person. I still cannot say I'm a specialist. Of course, I specialize in certain things, but still a long way to go, right? So first thing that I define for me is my search problem. That what am I searching on for, right? So there are two ways in which you can do. So maybe you are searching for to develop a skill set. That is your first thing, right? So there are two ways in which you could go across it. Either it could be in a breadth first manner, that you start at a particular path, you start here, you're like, hey, I learned this skill, let me do a tutorial. I will I come back, let me do this tutorial. And you do all these things there. You learn 10 different technologies through courses, and you're like, hey, I know everything. But say somebody says you to develop a project, you're like, hey, they haven't taught me these things in a course. So what are you gonna do? It's very superficial learning. And this is, I think, what I did in my second year with Angular and Node. I was like, hey, I know it. And then something came up and I was like, oh, I don't know this. Right? The other thing could have been DFS that many people follow. They pick up a certain skill and they become masters of it. They are like masters of it when it comes to college. Because when it comes to corporate, things change a lot, but still, now they become master at it. Say they pick up backend in Node. They're like, I will do Node, and they're like, in Node, things are done this way, things are done in that way. They have done so many internships in Node, but I have seen in many people they become so much, cohesive, that if I ask them, hey, would you like to take up this opportunity in serverless? They're like, hey, I don't know. I'm just going to work in Node. I'm going to apply to jobs in Node only. So it is not wrong. You are being paid for your skills. But then again, you never know, right? The other opportunity that came would have been much better than the one that you have. And because you were not having a broad perspective towards things, you might have lost on that one. So, starting my third year actually, so what I started following was I still don't know what I want to do, right? I wouldn't lie. But then again, whatever I do, I start with a BFS based approach, that I see that what are the possible things that, I would really like to do. And then I, start with a DFS approach in them. And I actually backtrack, because your time is limited, right? So say, I start with learning Node. So the next thing was, okay, learn the basics of Node, but don't backtrack now. Persevere here, do some projects, do an internship, learn what it takes, for you to deliver a certain product, so that if in future it is required, I might be able to take it up, right? So I've completed a couple of interns. I'm like, hey, I know it, and the work is getting redundant. I'm not learning anything, right? Because my time is limited. So I have backtracked. I was like, okay, now let's learn something new. I never know it could be helpful or not, but it is fun. And college is the only time where you would be doing things for fun. Like, not the only time, but actually, I realized when you start working, your time becomes more limited, and there are other things that you need to take care of as well. So college is like, all you need to do is have fun, study, learn, experiment. And that is what I think my seniors meant by exploring, which I learned the hard way. And like, please realize the time is limited, but you are starting very early as well. You are not 2 years delayed like me, or even if you were, then also it's fine, right? So this is how, like, I see things now, and this helps me a bit. So to conclude it, it's more like, if you start with a technology, don't backtrack right after your tutorials. Try to have an internship or some real life projects that you would like to deliver. Deliver them, and if you realize the work is getting redundant or you're not having fun, try other things as well. So when you go into corporate, you have a very wide mindset. And one, like, a time when it helped me a lot was during my internship at Homelane. So I was working on PHP, and thing was I had already delivered my project, and I asked my boss that, hey, like, this isn't the work I would really like to do. I've already done that. I'm looking for something more. And I don't know, call it luck or something, but some data science project came to them, and they had nobody in data science because Homelane was a startup. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take it up. And I really enjoyed working on that project because one thing was, despite being an intern, I was actually handling the end-to-end delivery, which had to be done in 1 month because it was a very business critical project. I was interacting with 3 or 4 teams in business, tech, and everything, and the exposure I gained was great. So I think I was really lucky to have that opportunity in internship, but I was able to grab it because when I went there, I carried greater horizon when it comes to seeing things. And even in my day-to-day life, I realized that things are pretty convoluted in tech. It doesn't matter if you are specialist in one, you need to know other things. So now the next question came, right? Is it good to have early specialization, or you should wait for some time and specialize late? So it depends on your end goal, to be quite honest. So if you're looking to do PhD, or if you're looking to study higher, they go for higher studies. Totally dedicating yourself uh, might be a good starting point, but then it comes at the cost of regret that you might have realized that you don't like it. And if you are not specializing in anything, then it comes at the cost that you would always feel that you are not knowing enough. So it's pretty subjective, but what I have found with my corporate experience so far is, um, you should have the ability to get the job done no matter whatever it takes. And as you complete more and more jobs, you start becoming more specialized. And that is the time, you're going to realize, without even knowing, that you are becoming a specialist in the things you do. So specialization is not just about solely reading things. It is more about gaining more and more experience, and it comes with time. So I mean, it works for other people in other ways, but I felt that not longing for specialization has worked pretty well so far in my career. But then again, this is what worked for me. It is not necessary it might work for you. But then again, there is this other thing. Nobody knows what you want to specialize in. So even if you're going for a specialization that you want to pursue, you should first define. And the path that I took in my college life is the thing that I defined to specialize in. And my objective statement was, nobody should question my ability to get the job done. Right? If a job has been given to me, I should have the ability to do it. No matter if I have to study it, no matter if I have to learn something new. And that is how it helped me. It defined the problem. It helped me define the jobs that I would really like to get done. That is what came in my internships. Then what are the skills that I require for it, which define what I should study, the level of skill required, the dive deep that I should do. And then after completing something, I always thought it is necessary to pause, see that what are the mistakes that you have been doing or what you might do, and then again reiterate again. So, I mean, like, that is what I meant by, start generic. That is a very generic approach, have a very generic statement of purpose that you might want to specialize in, and then move towards granular details. Things might, start laying flat for you. And as you achieve your goals, you're going to feel more confident and you're going to know what you want to do. And then the most important thing, what I feel people miss on is that they don't value their time and they don't do what is required at the right time. So, what do I mean by the right time? say you have an exam tomorrow, and you feel like, hey, I think this is no, I want to specialize in Node, and you're like, going through Node tutorial throughout the night, not studying for your exams, then it's not going to yield any benefit. It's going to put you in more and more pressure, right? Or you have placement season coming in and you're not doing coding, because one of the evaluation metrics to appear in job interviews is to the ability for data structure algorithm. No matter that you might not be using it in your day-to-day life in the job, but then again, if it is required, then it is, it needs to be done at the right time. So I mean, like, never ever you know just waste your time on doing things that might not be required in the moment. You can do it if you have time, and I'm sorry for this uh, spelling error, I just saw it now, but nevertheless. And I think this is it. I am open for questions now. There wasn't much. It was just about my journey and how a generalist approach might work. Please feel free to, like, add questions in the chat.
All right. So we'll be putting Hardik sir's LinkedIn and his email in the chat so that you can contact him later. And we are now open for questions or anything you guys would like to say. We'll take that up.
Yeah. And I mean, like, if there are not many questions at the moment, it's fine. You could email me a list as well.
We'll just wait for maybe a minute or more.
Yeah.
We have a question. Sorry.
Does a journalist approach work in corporate too? Yes, I mean, in this, of course, it does work. For example, when you enter corporate life and you are still in an SDE one, right? So you still don't know the intricacies of the system that you're working on, but you know that how other systems might be interacted, and taking inspiration from those systems, it is possible for you to come up with approaches that maybe some people might have missed. And like, it happened to me in a couple of projects that, a person who's experienced 4 5 years, his way of thinking was to do it in a very traditional way. So things have been done, but sometimes the ambiguity of problem increases to an extent that you might to start need to think out of the box. And out of the box thinking is not something, that comes innate. Of course, in some people it might, but then again, you can learn these things as well, how you come up with ideas. If you go through enough ideas, then your brain is going to mix up things and do it. So, I mean, like, be a generalist, but specialize in your ability to get the job done, and that's what you will be paid for. Nice. So, I think, Harsh, we can do one thing. We
Sure.
could create, even, we can share a doc in the comment section as well. If somebody has any questions that they would like to ask me, and it's not related to generalist approach or specialist approach, or not related to session, but anything that you want to know about corporate, you want to know about college, or anything, you can just feel free to reach out to me, and I will be happy to take them in a doc or reply one on one. What's it?
Okay, sir. So I think we can create a form where people
Yeah.
can just submit questions, and yeah, I'll create one.
Awesome. So Cool. Thanks everyone. It was great interacting with you. I mean, long time no see. But yeah, nice. Stay in touch. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for interacting with us and sharing your experience. Like I feel this is a really unique take on the problem, and I hope that a lot of students here would be inspired by your college story.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you for your time. And yeah, for everyone else, we'll meet you tomorrow for the next session. And until then, keep hacking. All right. I'll share the form in the comments shortly. So if you guys want to ask any questions separately, you can do that from there, and we'll share it with Hardik sir. All right.
Yeah. Bye bye.